evening and welcome into Buffalo Riverworks, where we're ready to bring you roller derby tonight on LCTV. As I said, good evening, I'm Frank L. along with Vile Lovett. And Vile, we have a fun matchup tonight between these two teams. It's the Lake Effect Furies and the new Skids on the block. And Vile, what can our viewers look forward to when they take this in?
They're going to see a lot of incredible action tonight. It's a full contact sport where women are playing for points. They're paying for and the new Skids on the block also, they come from all the way from Montreal. It's both teams' first game of the season.
Yep, and Vile, you were mentioning to me before we came on the air, we got some pretty high-ranked teams that come in tonight in the overall standings in league and worldwide standings.
Exactly. Both teams are the charter teams for the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, the WFTDA, and both are their charter teams for their leagues. The Furies are ranked 26th, and the Montreal New Skids on the Block are ranked 17th. Last year, Montreal made it to the WFTDA Championship tournament.
So some stiff competition inside of Riverworks tonight. We're glad you can join us. We have a couple of blind spots here in the announce table, but you won't have any at all when you're watching this online. So as we get to see the two packs form, we have our jammers wearing the star helmet for Buffalo, number 231, Crazy Squirrel. May have received the loudest ovation of the starting lineups. Is she someone that has a lot of skill when it comes to getting her team points?
She is a new skater for the Lake Effect Furies. She actually played for Tri-City Roller Derby, and she makes a 2-hour commute for practices and games. Practices are twice a week for the Furies, and then add a game in. She is through for lead jammer. You can tell by the way the referee that's following her has his arms, one is up ahead and one is pointing at her. It's important for jammers to know if they're lead jam, because then they can call off the jam.
So we look forward to your expertise throughout the night as we take this in, and we'll have a stoppage and some official stoppage. We switch players, have some substitutions. So as you can see, we're keeping score for you. We'll keep you posted throughout the game as it's 4-3 now in favor of Queen City Buffalo, the Queen City Roller Girls Lake Effect Furies.
Actually, we just added a point at the end of that jam, and it's a 4-4 tie.
So
at the end of that jam, Crazy Squirrel tapped her hips, and that signals the end of the jam. And she did that before the Montreal jammer was able to get through and score anything.
So we're still waiting for the lead jam as they try to get by their packs. In the star helmet for Buffalo is number 522, Libalian. You see she got hit out of bounds, some good contact as we look to establish the lead jam. There you get a look at number 18, the Honey Badger from Montreal. And there, now we have a lead jam, and it's Queen City. They have the lead jam. As they come around, there you see the hop through on the inside track, count it.
We call that jumping the apex. So the apex of the turns are on one side and the other side, and jammers look for the time when they can jump that. If they land with their feet, they can get the points. They don't have to actually skate by the skaters. It's a little trick people started to do not too long ago.
So we have a stoppage, and you can see who was the jammer that time. Libralian coming off the floor as we get an update on the score is 12-5 now in favor of Montreal.
Nope, in favor of Queen City.
I apologize.
Yep,
I got
the
logo.
left up there.
We got the logos messed up there.
So Libralian had gotten lead jam. She got two scoring passes, a full scoring pass and then a partial one. But Montreal at the end was able to sneak up 1 point.
I thought they had the lead jammer, and it looked like Libralian was doing a great job. So we're all learning this, and we look for a lot of excitement tonight. Right now, Montreal has the lead jammer. You see her coming around that black helmet with the green star. It's number 420, Malawana, and she's going to call off the jam.
She grabbed her points before Crazy Squirrel was able to get anything. Now we're at 12-9.
So the longest a jam can last is 2 minutes.
Yep.
What kind of strategy are you looking for to maximize your 2-minute jam or call it early and get the most points as possible?
Well, a lot of jammers call it early in order to shut down or shut out the other team from scoring at all. If the opposing team's jammer is in the penalty box, then they have a power jam, then they can keep scoring. And that would be a reason to not call off the jam. Or if, for some reason, the blockers are able to hold your opposing jammer. Right now, it's kind of a foot race between Montreal and Incinerator.
And you can see the spill that was taken by the Montreal jammer that time. Miracle Whips. She was the lead jam. She took a hard hit and then called off the jam. So it's now 12-11, still in favor of the Queen City Roller Girls. Again, we're at Buffalo Riverworks bringing you these angles. Glad to bring you online at any time at lctv.net. As you hear the call of 5 seconds. Describe what's happening in those packs as you're trying to stop the lead from the other team becoming a lead jammer.
Well, the blockers really try and stay tight together. To make a wall, we call it a wall that is hopefully going to slow that jammer down and stop them from getting through. So right now, Libralian was able to get through for lead jam, but Falcon Punch is right behind her. So likely she's going to jump the apex, grab her points, call it off, prevent Falcon Punch from scoring anything. And that's a big strategy. However, at the end of that jam, something happened. I didn't see the call, but Falcon Punch, the jammer from Montreal, went to the penalty box. So the Furies are going to start on a power start. So they have the advantage right now. Montreal has a full 4 set of blockers, and the Lake Effect Furies have a full contingent of blockers. So they're going to do some offense likely on the start in order to get their jammer out quickly.
And we should look for Go to be the lead one trying to get the points, correct?
Yep. So she's a transfer from Rochester, Rock City Roller Derby, and she is also new this season for the Furies. So you can see they got her through quickly, and they're going to make the most of this time. You can tell when the jammer stands in the box that she has 10 seconds left.
So penalties in total last 30 seconds, correct?
Correct. A skater can get up to 7 penalties before they are escorted off the track and onto the locker room. And then you foul out of the game.
And there's some points as Go is able to sneak by and put up the points on the board as it's 22-11 right now for QCRG.
The Montreal Jammer is back in the pack, and she is attacking Black Rock Bruiser and Pepper Sticks, the only 2 blockers on the track for the Lake Effect Furies right now.
Is that because they were trying to go with a quicker lineup before this with the penalty?
Well, they had Bricks went off for a penalty, and then Murphy is in the box right now for a penalty. So the Furies are going to start with 3 blockers, and Crazy Squirrel is the jammer.
And it's 27-11 now. We can get a good look at Go, as we were just hearing about from Vile, the new transfer over. As we're going to get set up, you can see the packs come together.
Looks like somebody just called a timeout. So each team is allowed 2 timeouts per period. They can call just to sort of gather their team. They can also call an official review. Each team gets 1 official review per period. If they call an official review and they win it, generally an official review is if they're like saying, hey, you missed this penalty, or you called a bad penalty. If they win the official review, then they get to keep it, and then they get to ask for another one. If they don't win it and they're hard to win, then they don't get another one until the next period. Officials can also call an official review, and that can go on for as long as they need it to.
Well, we know how decisive officials can be,
yes.
So hopefully we'll avoid those.
Yeah.
As you get a good look. Going for Buffalo is number 231. Crazy Squirrel back out there.
Right. And so you can see in the pack there the Montreal skater that has a stripe on her head. She is setting up to do some offense for her jammer to try and help her out.
You see she kind of blocked out,
but she misses Crazy Squirrel, who comes up the inside and grabs lead jam for the Lake Effect Furies, and she signaled to Murphy, her blocker that was in the box, to go ahead of her and help her out and give her some offense.
You see Honey Badger still trying to catch up to the pack. She hasn't done it yet. And then we'll have a stoppage as they call off the jam. And that was a good round there, a good jam for the Queen City Roller Girls. It's now 31-11.
This is an incredible start from the Lake Effect Furies against this team. Montreal has been around for a long time, and they are they're a very good team.
So when you see a crowd like this expecting a sellout tonight, I'm sure that's really helping out the home ladies.
That is definitely helping out the Lake Effect Fury skaters. They're so excited to play here at Buffalo Riverworks. It's such an exciting venue to play in. So right now we have
We have a penalty out on the side.
So sometimes the packs get split where the one team is in front trying to stop the jammer.
So coming around is your lead jammer again. It's Meloana with it as she approaches the pack, makes a move, zigzags through a couple players, gets by another. We're getting a good eye.
The penalty is pretty full. The penalty box over there is full with 2 from each team. Libralian came through for a scoring pass. She quickly jumped to apex for her points, but Meloana came through.
And it looked like it was only 2 blockers out there for Buffalo, so they were really at a disadvantage trying to slow that down.
Well, both teams had 2 blockers out there, and now, as I was telling you earlier, look at the box there. Montreal has 3 blockers in the box, which is a very disadvantage. So they're going to start the jam with 1 blocker. And that should enable the Furies to get their jammer out through for lead jam pretty quickly, but sometimes that doesn't always happen.
Well, we saw that earlier on when Buffalo was able to jump out to that lead. Part of it is when they had the blocker advantage and they were able to get out very quickly and free up their jammer.
Yes, definitely. As a jammer, you much prefer to have less blockers out there that are trying to stop you or hit you. So that's always good, but it doesn't always work out that way. It depends on the blockers that are out there and how strong they are and how well they're able to communicate and stay together. So right now the Furies are only going to start with 2.
And that's going to be Brix Hithouse and Tabrina Schreier out there. Schreier, one of the captains, a 10-year member. So we heard from a couple of newcomers, but that's a mainstay right there for Tabrina.
She is. She's been on the team since the team started, and she's been with the league for even a couple of years longer than that. Incinerator is going to start as jammer. She's been with the Lake Effect Furies for a few seasons and has been a very strong jammer for them.
If you might have guessed, Incinerator is wearing 666. As you get a good look at the couple of blockers that we mentioned earlier. Mensch is up close from Montreal, trying to keep a block, but you see how quickly they were able to get out in front.
But it wasn't quick enough because it's a foot race right now.
And they're going to call it off. What do you think led to that call off there by Incinerator?
I think that Coach Guillotine still wants the pack advantage. So currently there are 2 Montreal blockers sitting in the box. One is standing, which means she has 10 seconds or less to go out on the track and join her teammates. And Coach Guy wants the advantage to hopefully get his jammer through and get lead jam and continue the lead. 35-19 right now with the Furies in the lead, and that's pretty amazing given the difference in rankings for these teams.
So as you see them try to establish, look out on the outside, and it's actually Montreal who gets the lead jammer. Coming through is Falcon Punch as she weaves her way around the derby court. And now Buffalo's jammer has gotten free for a second. Away comes Falcon Punch, trying to get through, trying to hit every blocker, still the lead jam. As we got 35-19, and they're gonna call it off there. As you got a good look of the work done there by Falcon Punch, as it's now 35-23.
A lot changes in a single jam.
Yeah, I mean, there were some incredible runs. You were mentioning how big of advantage that Buffalo had early on, and we can see how it can just turn on a dime just like that.
It really can. I mean, sometimes people think like a 40-point lead might be the end of the game, time to leave and grab the car, but it really can change a couple of jams.
Well, I can rest assured we'll be here to the end. We're glad you can join us here on LCTV. We're at Buffalo Riverworks bringing you the Queen City Roller Girls here at their home opener that they lead 35-23 against Montreal. We got a penalty called, so exiting the court for the Furies is Schreier. She'll have to stay out. We're still waiting for a lead jammer. There goes a tumble. We still have it matched up.
So Bricks House hit out the Honey Badger and then backed up on the track. And that caused her to have to come back. Now, right now, Montreal has a power jam. So the Lake Effect Furies are going to set up for defense 100% of the way.
Yeah, that's to limit the points
as
that
much
can be
as
obtained
possible
while they have that advantage, or at disadvantage for the Furies.
Yep.
Coming around is the Honey Badger, just to remind you who's lead right now.
But also, it also means that Montreal is 100% offense and can help their jammer.
We saw a stiff jolt right there that sent the Badger down for a second, just killing that time until they're back to even.
Go is back on the track now, and she's attacking the Montreal wall in the back.
Go, who was a jammer before that, put up a nice point advantage for the Furies earlier. The transfer.
Oh, she goes back to the box. I didn't see what the penalty call was.
It's going to be 30 seconds, though, for Montreal to be on the offense. As you see Honey Badger making her way around, getting blocked out there, and down she goes with a hit. I believe it was delivered by Tuesday Hula.
Yes, it was.
Hula trying to block out again. Badger's trying to squeeze through. You see the blockers doing a good job. Schreier comes in there. Badger's still trying to make it around. She's stuck out there, and Badger's still trying to get through. We're looking for her, and now we'll get a stop. Call the jam. So what did you see there? A lot of contact there, a lot of hits on that jam.
They are both teams that are very physical. They're very intense. The Lake Effect Furies did a really great job of cycling, we call it. So the jammer might get by them, but they get back up again, and they get in front of that jammer, and they make it really difficult for her to get out of the pack to get another scoring pass.
During that jam, though, Montreal was able to get some of those points back. They pulled within 2 now.
Yep.
So as we started up again, you can see coming around number 424 Go, who spent some time in the box last time. We got the lead jam, is Meluana.
So this is something interesting that she just did, is she passed the star to Libralian. So Libralian was out blocking as a pivot. She had the stripe on, and the jammer can pass the cover to the pivot. She has to hand it to her.
So how much practice would one take to be able to take your cap off, hand it to someone else, while there's 4 other people out there trying to hit you?
It takes a lot of practice.
Okay. A lot of the dedication that goes into these players. For pride, as Violet put it earlier, and looking to improve on the ranking. We have 2 high-ranked ones, the Montreal Roller Derby at 17, and Queen City Roller Girls based out of here in Buffalo at 26. Montreal taking the lead by 2, 37-35. As Violet mentioned earlier, they were in the championships last year, and they're a well-established team. And you see the penalty calls being made as the lead jammer goes to the new skids on the block. I've been avoiding that, but you know, I grew up in the early 90s, so.
So Buffalo's jammers, Crazy Squirrel is in the box. They've been having some jammer penalty trouble.
Yeah, it was Go earlier, now Crazy Squirrel.
Yep, which is difficult because you can't score if your jammer's not on the track. So at this point, the Furies are really, again, all on offense, or all on defense, sorry, and they are doing their best to limit the amount of points that Miracle Whips can score.
Just to let you know, she's already put up 5 on one of her passes, so it's now a 7-point advantage.
Now our Crazy Squirrel is back out, and she is on her initial pass through the pack.
So Montreal's going to continue to try to strike while she's lapping the court.
Yep, they would have, but they called off the jam instead. Sometimes teams like to go long and keep things going, but Montreal chose to stop it quickly.
I think they didn't want Buffalo maybe to recap any of those points they had already gotten. That was a big 15-0 run there by Montreal to take a 12-point lead now.
But 12 points is not that much of a lead.
We saw that. It was a Buffalo lead of about 20 earlier on.
Right.
So we're still about 13 minutes left to go in this round. As you can see, Honey Badger back out there trying to pass through. Right now, it's out there is LeBrawlin for Buffalo, and we have a lead jam as Badger has made her way through. And LeBrawlin's having a tough time in that corner as Badger's looped around. Swings to the outside, gets stood up right there though. A big hit delivered by Headhuntress, and she found her one.
LeBrawlin is really stuck with Montreal's wall, pretty solid wall. She takes off the star, sometimes with the attempt of trying to confuse them that maybe she's not the jammer, but she also could pass it to her pivot, which is the blocker that has the stripe on her helmet. That's the only blocker she can pass it to. Sometimes it's also just a stash, and that's a fake out kind of. Doesn't always fake them out, but we like to think it does.
right now trying her way to get through, and she's still hot up there. LeBraw really leading the way and blocking her path. As Honey Badger comes around again, you can see her on the outside trying to sit through. Gets a little bit of resistance there. Another hit delivered in by number 46. That's Midnight Maniac.
Midnight Maniac, yep. And Black Rock Bruiser is out there with her too, and the two of them are really giving her as much business as they can give her. But
she looks pretty dead tired, but she hasn't called off the jam yet. We got a penalty called away from it. You still see LeBrawlin skating around with the cap not on yet. It's 57-35 right now. Now we will have a stop of that jam. A very effective one for Montreal as they were able to get the big advantage with LeBrawlin still back with the pack.
Right, so sometimes you get the advantage when the opposing jammer is in the box, and other times you just hold them as long as you can and give them a lot of trouble. And she struggled a lot to try and get through. She took the cap off, or the helmet cover off. She does not need to have it on her helmet unless she's scoring points. So at this point, it looks like the Lake Effect Furies called a timeout to try and gather things up again and calm down. They've had a lot of penalty trouble. Black Rock Bruiser is sitting in the penalty box. So when her and Midnight Maniac were working over the Montreal Jammer, it was at the cost of the penalty. So
as you get a look at that Furies huddle, and the crowd here at Riverworks trying to get behind the Furies, as the Let's Go Furies chant was up and about during that timeout taken by head coach Guillotine. He's assisted by Papa Wow tonight.
Yep, Papa Wow. So Papa Wow's daughter actually plays for Montreal.
All right, so more intrigue if there wasn't enough already.
She is not playing tonight because of an injury, but she used to play for the Lake Effect Furies several years ago, moved to Chicago, played for Windy City, and now plays for the Montreal New Skids on the Block.
So with that, when you lose a player, how tough is it to find someone that also has that dedication and skill? Is that where your team comes in, the Sub-Zero Sirens here in Buffalo?
In some cases, yeah. We are the B team, and we are training skaters to come and be Lake Effect Furies. Sometimes people move up, and sometimes it takes them a while. Right now, Buffalo has the jam again.
And you see Incinerator there, made her way around and called it off, and some much needed points there for the Furies as they had been stuck at 35 for a little while, but that time they put a couple up to start to cut into that lead.
Right, I think the lead jam was also very important for them to give them a little morale boost. But it looks like Murphy is sitting in the box right now.
Crazy Squirrel's out on the floor. One apiece in the box. So we'll see what happens.
Meliwana is out for Montreal, and she is so good at the line work. She just skipped right up the outside line, grabbed lead jam, but Crazy Squirrel is through and about half a track, 3/4 of a track behind her.
And they called it. Through. Yeah, there was a big hit that occurred in the pack, so Montreal decided to take their points and stop it there as they approved the 64 now. Yeah, what helped though is, like you said, Crazy Squirrel wasn't held up too long. She was able to follow fairly quickly.
Right, she was able to bust through. She's very agile, very quick, and her and Go as additions to the Lake Effect Furies was really important. They needed a little bit deeper jammer bench.
So one thing to point out, this is a flat floor league and organization, a little bit different from a ramped kind of environment.
They call it a bank track. Yeah. There aren't that many bank tracks around flat track derby is much more popular because obviously you can do it in the roller skating rink, you can do it in a warehouse, you can do it here. This is actually a made-for-derby venue. When they made Riverworks, they put this derby track in the middle of it.
So another penalty going to Montreal, as you saw them go into the box and they get their jammer free, does Buffalo, so they're going to start it out.
Go went to the box first, and then the Montreal jammer went right while Go was in there. So what happens is she only sits the amount of time that Go sat. So it's not a full 30 seconds. You can't have a derby game without a jammer on the track.
So right now, you see some contact making her way around the court on your screens. Go as she leads into the pack now. Go trying to squeeze through right there, and she keeps her balance. She gets a little speed going. They come around the turn. She's got a lot of blockers to get through. Now we have a whistle. Go still trying to make it through. Has a couple blockers around the turn.
There you go, 1 to go, and she's through. But now, at this point, there is no lead jammer because both jammers went to the box. So if you go to the box, you lose lead jam.
That work done by Go puts 4 on the board for Queen City.
This jam's going to go the full 2 minutes, which means that both teams are going to just work those jammers over, and the jammers are going to try and collect as many points as possible. Now, a point is earned when the jammer passes an opposing blocker's hips. You can't.
And right now, both jammers can score, correct?
Yep, both
because there
jammers
isn't
are
a lead
scoring.
jammer.
Well, both.
Well, yes.
Yeah, both jammers got out on their initial pass, which enables lead jam, and then every other pass is a scoring pass.
So there's your full 2 minutes as that jam is called. 72-46 now. So a lot happening there. We saw one jammer go out, another jammer penalty that allowed the Furies to take a small advantage while the Montreal jammer was out. So a lot of points going back and forth that time.
Yep, definitely. It's when you have that advantage, when the opposing jammer is in the box, you really need to work as hard as you can to try and get as many points.
Now, as we have a quick break, talk about the role of the striped helmet as we see in the left screen there that's being worn by number 66, I believe that.
Just 60,
60, there it is.
Yep. So she is a blocker and functions as a blocker on the track, except for if the jammer removes the helmet cover, the star, from her helmet and hands it to her. They can't shoot it, they can't like toss it over the other blockers, they have to actually hand it off. And then the pivot is the inactive jammer until she puts it on her helmet. She can't score points until it's on her helmet. So you'll see it's a strategy that's used pretty frequently now, that if your team does not get lead jam, the jammer will take the helmet cover off and get ready to pass it. And that pivot, that's what they're called, the pivot, will be watching the jammer to see if she wants to pass it to her or if she wants to just try and confuse the blockers, hopefully. Sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't.
So as you see there, a meeting with the officials, because right now I believe we have a review going on.
I think.
Or actually some tape came up, it looks like.
No, that's just.
Or is it a board coming up and we have to tape it down? In
between jams, the track maintenance people. So we have, we're an all volunteer organization and every league out there is pretty much. Skaters or volunteers run around and check the track to make sure, because there is rope underneath that tape, so that skaters have a better feel for where the track is, the inside and outside line. I believe Coach Guy called an official review. So there's a woman there in pink on the pivot line, and she is holding an O with her hands, making an O, and then pointing towards the Furies bench, and that means the Furies.
So are they looking for out of bounds blocking then?
I don't know what they're looking for. They sometimes the coach will ask for a penalty if he sees a penalty and he wants it called. A lot of times that's requesting a penalty on the opposing team's jammer, or if he wants to say there was a bad penalty called.
Earlier you said it is all volunteers. If someone were interested in helping out or anything like that, how could they get information about that?
Absolutely. QCRG.net is our website, and there are all sorts of links on that website that can give you an email to send. Or if you're at a game go to the will call table and just ask them. Tell them you want to volunteer. You'd love to learn how to skate or learn how to officiate, or you just want to come and help put tape on the floor.
So
we take all sorts of help.
It takes a lot of effort, I'm sure, to put on something like this. As you can just see, if we get an outside shot later on or some different angles, the crowd that is packed in here tonight, and it takes a lot of help and volunteers to do that, so I'm sure anyone interested can come down. We have a lead, and this time it's Honey Badger again from Montreal. They lead 72-46.
But Libralian is not too far behind her. The Furies started with only 2 blockers, and Montreal started with 3. So Libralian is trying to sneak in a few points before the Honey Badger calls it off. She was a little bit late there.
So 4 points obtained that time by the New Skids on the block. It's now 76-48.
Libralian grabbed 2.
So as we see coming out again, not much rest. It's a quick moving. So what are you doing? So as a squad, because usually you come out in packs together, what are you discussing when you're not on the floor?
You're discussing how it went or what you should be doing, like how the team that you're playing is playing. Do they always give the inside line kind of open? Are we not close enough? Are we not tight enough? So Crazy Squirrel flipped through on the outside.
That was a great spin move. She kind of just rolled herself through the block.
Yep, she is very good on her feet, and she has lead jam for the Lake Effect Furies, who are setting up in the back, and she calls it off really fast.
Yeah, only 30 seconds on that run.
And
so 80-53 now after that. As Crazy Squirrel had the lead jam that time and was able to put up some points and cut the deficit down to 27.
Right, she called it fast enough that Montreal was not able to score at all.
Yeah, and that's the strategy behind that, and now they'll lead it to the incinerator to keep that momentum going.
And I think she's up against Meliwana here? Nope,
yes.
Miracle.
Yep. So as you get to see both packs at once, there's Incinerator wearing the teal for Buffalo, closest in your picture, but it's Meliwana who's able to get lead jam. Incinerator trying to pull her way through and does so. So she'll look to catch up.
Nope, she's heading to the box.
Oh, she got called for a penalty.
Yeah.
That's bad news for the Furies.
Meliwana has been so successful as a jammer for Montreal, and tonight it shows through. I think she's had lead jam almost every time and seems to cut through the Lake Effect Furies pack really easily.
Do you think they'll call it before Buffalo's able to kind of respond?
Incinerator's standing right now, so she's got less than 10 seconds. She might call it before Incinerator gets out of the box, or she might call it before Incinerator can score.
There's 1 minute left to go, so they have plenty of time to work with to kind of decide where they want to take it. As you see her loop around, dip left, right, cut back through the middle. She looks like she's gassed. It's been a strong over a minute, 10 seconds now of skating. We'll wait to see if they call the jam. Still trying to work through, and there she goes on the inside track. And Incinerator was finally able to pass, and that's the end of the jam. So but some good work there.
Yeah, at the end of there, Meliwana tried to hold Incinerator at the front of the pack. So Meliwana got through, and Incinerator came out right behind her. And then she thought for a minute, looked like she thought for a minute that she was just going to try and block her and get her swallowed up by her pack.
Hope the pack catches back up, and then she could go around again.
But she decided to call it out, and we have a fun little term for that. We call it Eat the Baby.
Oh. I don't even want to know how that became the name. So a lead jam again, and away come Montreal Miracle Whips. Is the lead jam 95-53 as you get a good look at Whips coming around. Some big contact there by the jammer for Buffaloes are trying to sneak through, trying to get there as Libralian. Away though come the New Skids on the block, and they're coming through again. Number 123 is Miracle Whips. Back behind the play, we got a little bit of a tussle in the corner. And Libralian trying to fight through. Miracle Whips keeps it in the tape. I'm not sure how she was able to tiptoe that line.
I'm not either. but she did. Libralian was almost out, but then Montreal just cycled her back again. If you step out of bounds, you have to come in behind the other players.
Yes, you have to skate back and then try to catch up. So you got to really put on the jets there, as we'll see what the final tally is. 107.53 showing right now in favor of Montreal. So you can see why they're a highly ranked team that made the championships last year. Some really skilled jamming we're seeing from mostly Marijuana, and that time Miracle Whip put up a very significant score.
Right, Honey Badger has done really well as also. Crazy Squirrel is back out for the Furies.
Honey Badger found that inside track though.
The Crazy Squirrel is through right behind her, about a quarter of a track behind her.
So they'll look to catch up quickly. Badger approaching the pack, and we got a called jam right there.
She had a little offensive help from her players and got through 2 points. And Crazy Squirrel did not get any points at all. So Honey Badger was able to call that off pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that was the effectiveness of Squirrel getting through the pack. Even though Badger had gotten lead jam, she was able to minimize how much advantage it could get.
Exactly. And Montreal is down 2 blockers. They've got 2 in the box right now. And Lake Effect Furies are at full.
So if we're looking for a good round for Buffalo to really try to cut down on that advantage, this would be it.
Yep, goes at the front of the pack. She's just fighting through the 2 Montreal blockers that are there. She gets through, lead jam.
Montreal does get a player back. Back on is Alcatraz, but you get a good look at Go. Looping around, trying to get a few more points with this advantage. Back out on the court as well as Falcon Punch. But Go is through.
She's through,
and she called it.
Before Falcon Punch can score, I believe.
It looked like they had called it from the bench. It looked like head coach Guillotine wanted to let her know to call it because they were looping back with Falcon Punch.
She was approaching the pack and was going to just about come into scoring position.
So 4-0 that time with the 2 advantage. So Buffalo up to 57.
Montreal still has 2 in the box. 1 is standing, so she has less than 10 seconds.
You got Libralian versus Marijuana.
Libralian's at the front, but she gets cycled back. And Marijuana gets through for lead jam. No, she does not have lead jam.
They still have it here. Only 4 seconds, I believe they called it. Just before looping back around was Marijuana, so no damage done there. We have an intermission. We'll take a break, 15 minutes.
We are at halftime. 57-109. Now you would think this would be a game to go home for, but it's not.
Well, we definitely saw a lot of runs, so we're going to take a quick break here. Intermission from Buffalo Riverworks, 109-57 right now. Montreal in front, but we'll see what the second half has in store here on LCTV.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash? 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
at Buffalo Riverworks. We got hockey outside and roller derby in here where it's really the fun is just kind of echoing through the building. You can't avoid it. You got the bar going, concessions flying, 50-50, chuck a duck. Lots to do to keep the family happy. Glad we can bring it to you live as we start the second half, as it's the Queen City Roller Girls and the Lake Effect Furies facing off against Montreal, the new kids on the block. Buffalo with a deficit to try to overcome here from the first round as we got the second round going, and we'll call the jam right away. I'm joined by Vile Lovin, and Vile, we've had a lot of swings in that first round. Buffalo taking an early lead and then Montreal coming back strong.
Yep, Lake Effect Furies were able to come out to about a 20-point lead, I think, maybe in the first quarter or the first half of the first period. But Montreal, once they took the lead, they really haven't looked back much. But their lead, although 57-109 seems pretty significant in other sports, it's really not in roller derby. They can have a 20-point jam, a 25-point jam. But I'm not sure we're going to see those tonight. Both packs are very, very tight. And Montreal is really giving the Lake Effect Furies jammers a really difficult time.
Some good work there. Honey Badger was trying to sneak through for Montreal, but it's Buffalo who comes away with it, taking the lead. Is Crazy Squirrel, around she goes. You get a good look at the pack. Squirrel approaching it, goes inside, tried weaving up high. We got a called jam here. And that'll be a stop to that. What did you see on that one?
Crazy Squirrel got 3 points, but Montreal's jammer got through for 2. So really just a 1-point advantage. The Furies were setting up with some offense to try and get the Squirrel through really fast, but it also opened up some holes, and the Montreal jammer was able to get out as well.
We did have a hurt player there for a second. Hughes makes her way, Surgical Strike, excuse me, makes her way over to the bench, and she'll have a breather as a new pack comes out. Meloana for Montreal, and of course Incinerator for Buffalo, as they're stuck right now. Incinerator goes towards the inside, now trying to outside. Meloana's there. Incinerator, Meloana. Meloana's got a little bit of an advantage now, but on the inside's Incinerator, and she's got the lead.
Meloana is going to the box right now.
So no jammer on the floor for Montreal, a chance to make up some ground here for Buffalo.
So Buffalo's got a power jam. They've got 30 seconds of being the only team to score. And Incinerator gets through really easily on the outside.
And the only thing that can stop that is if the jammer were to take a penalty right now.
Correct. And Incinerator's also lead jam, which means that she can stop the jam when she wants to. Ooh. She gets knocked out on the outside. She tries to squeeze right by.
It looked like she had some daylight, and it was closed off awfully quickly there. Incinerator took a bit of a bump, and we have a stoppage, but she looks all right.
Meloana is standing in the box, which means she has less than 10 seconds, 10 seconds or less. She held up her hand, 5 fingers, got 5 seconds. The Lake Effect Furies now have a power start, 1 jammer. They're going to try and get lead really fast. But Montreal has been giving Libralian a real run for her money. They have been, the last time she was out, they really held her for probably a good minute.
11 points that time, though, up to 68 for the Furies. Getting through there. She's got 1 more to beat. Trying to spin away, gets a seam and goes.
But the Lake Effect Furies have to be ready for Meloana, who comes right out of the box. Libralian is lead, but Meloana is still in the pack. She's being held up by Chick, Bricks, and Murphy up at the front.
We got a tie up there. Doing a good job is Murphy, as Vile said. Meloana trying to skip through. She's in some open court. Away come the Flurries, weaving her way through is Libralian. Libralian towing the line and calls the jam.
She calls it before Meloana can come through and score any points, but she struggles to get as many as she could have with that power jam, and it cost them 2 blockers. So holding Meloana at that front of the pack with that tight formation cost Murphy a penalty, and Brooks is sitting with her. So each player only gets 7. They add up kind of fast. So I believe Brooks is at 4. That might be her 5th. At 7, she's out of the game.
Do you play short, or do you have someone that runs double shift?
No, you only play short if someone is in the box.
Okay. So someone's able to step
Crazy
in, lead
Squirrel
jam.
is so good at getting through those packs. She is so quick, jumping and spinning. She is lead jam.
Falcon Punch not too far behind though. As she comes away, calls her play. Only 2 blockers out there for Buffaloes. They have 2 in the box still. They stand up. 10 seconds left. The Buffalo trying to play defense, but getting through is Falcon Punch.
Crazy Squirrel is trying to get through those Montreal blockers.
Buffalo's box is empty.
Through, gets her points and calls it off. But Falcon Punch got through.
They'll put up 76 to Buffalo side of the score. 115 showing right now for Montreal.
With 24:35 left in the period. There's still a lot of time for Derby.
Incinerator coming out there against Miracle Whips. Each one of the jammers from Montreal had a couple of good runs in that first round. Buffalo's going to look to try to slow them down. Incinerator going with a power move right into that pack, trying to sneak through his Miracle Whips behind that power move. She gets boxed out and goes down. Penalty coming though. It's going to number 52, Sabrina Schreier, one of the co-captains.
She got a high block, which means that she hit. Ooh.
Another penalty
Miracle
upcoming.
Whips is heading to the box for Montreal. I didn't see what looks like a cut track, maybe.
Yeah.
So she stepped out and stepped back in, thought she was good and wasn't. Ooh, big hit by Bricks. She's trying to take out a Montreal.
She went after Biggie Smalls that time, trying to take out the blocker.
Trying to help her jammer.
So they switch hats. Back with it is Incinerator. She's on the inside alley there, but goes out of bounds, has to reestablish.
Incinerator took the star cover off, just to, again, to try and like confuse them a little bit or potentially pass it, but her pivot was in the box, so she couldn't have passed it anyways.
The jammer back off for Montreal. The penalty's over.
Incinerator was almost through, and then Montreal came up, but number 19
we
just
have
went
some
to
penalties.
the box. Yep. You can only block so far, so you can't go more than 20 feet in front or 20 feet behind and keep blocking, or you're out of play.
Incinerator's through. Big block thrown there by Bricks. Hits house that sprung those. Coming crashing through. A big collision there.
We don't call her Bricks House for no reason.
That was Cheese Grater, and she went through the grater that time. We got another player sent out. 115-81, Buffalo not going away as they're still in this. Around the track comes Montreal. It's led there by number 123, who's Miracle Whips. She's trying to sneak through. We have a called jam. It went the full 2 minutes that time.
It did. We did not have a lead jam. Incinerator looks really tired. She worked super hard.
119-86 now. As Buffalo tries to get that much closer.
22 minutes left.
Coming out now is Libralian. Tough matchup. As you see the pack setting up, as you see it from the jammer's point of view.
Montreal is down 1 blocker, which again can be helpful, except Honey Badger is good on that outside. She thought she went out, but she didn't.
Libralian's got the lead jam, but not too far behind is the new skid on the block. Honey Badger trying to catch up. Libralian coming through. It calls the jam before Honey Badger could catch up and get any points, so Buffalo put a couple points on the board. Oh no, Montreal did get some points.
Montreal got 1 and the Furies got none. So the Lake Effect Furies blockers were in the back of the pack. Brawl had to go through her own blockers before she could even attack Montreal. And Honey Badger was right behind her. So by the time Honey Badger before Brawl could even get to the Montreal blockers, Honey Badger grabbed 1 point. It's kind of the way it works sometimes.
It's Falcon Punch versus Crazy Squirrel. Crazy Squirrel trying to tiptoe the line through 2. Gets boxed out though on a nice play on the inside. Now as Crazy Squirrel tries up high, she's shut down again. Falcon Punch throws her blocker aside, and we got a lead jam. It goes to Falcon Punch.
Bricks almost gets a piece of her, but she sneaks through.
Crazy Squirrel still trying to get through that pack. Coming around as Falcon Punch gives a head fake there. Is by 1, by 2, and we got points. They keep on going around. Crazy Squirrel really locked up on this one. Falcon Punch starting to come around for another round of points, and she's able to do so that time fairly easily.
Yep, right on the outside.
Buffalo looking to try to shut this one down. Still a minute 10 potentially left, but they'll call it there.
Right,
they'll take the points and run as Crazy Squirrel was trying to catch up to the pack.
Buffalo was trying to set up to help Crazy Squirrel, give her a little bit easier of a pass, but they weren't able to, and Montreal called it off quickly.
9-0 that time in favor of the visiting New Skids on the Block from Montreal. The home opener here for the Queen City Roller Girls, the Lake Effect Furies, welcoming this almost, or what looks to be a sellout crowd of a little over 1,000 people in attendance here at Riverworks. Great to see a packed house for this opener. As you see a big build up there, trying to come through, and does so is Meliwana, and she's on her way around.
That was an incredible strategy by her. Brawl was trying to block her from getting through. Her blockers had set up to get her through easily, and she just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until she could roll right around Brawl.
Finally getting out on is Libralian, but she's not going to get a chance to attack as the jam is already called.
Meliwana got through, got her points, called it off. Brawl was still about a quarter of a track behind her.
So right now it's 129.86. I think we'll see a couple points go up on the board. We do now 133.86.
18:50 left in the game. Go is on the line for the Lake Effect Furies.
Go's had a couple of good runs. The transfer over.
Miracle Whips for Montreal. She's been very successful tonight as well. They're so fast, the Montreal Jammers.
You could see the jump kind of cut there, jumped to the daylight and got through. And there's Miracle Whip still trying to get through his Go. She'll swing to the outside and gets through a couple, now gets through the last pair and has to catch up quick.
But Miracle Whips now is in scoring position right now. She gets through fairly easily, cuts right through.
And she'll call it there.
Shuts it right down before Go can score.
I saw her kind of make a stutter step there, but didn't see how she got through so quickly. She just kind of fired through, and next thing you knew, she was by 4.
Right. Defenders, the blockers really need to set up in a tight formation before the jammer approaches the pack. If there's any space, these jammers from Montreal are just busting right through it. It is not taking them.
Yep, so if you want a copy of this historic event, home opener here, lctv.net, you can order a DVD copy of this, have it on your own. Bad news, though, for the Furies. Out on a penalty goes Crazy Squirrel, so it's all Montreal right now.
I didn't see what the penalty was. Ooh. So Montreal is holding Headhuntress in the back because that's where pack is. So blockers from both teams together are considered the pack. You can't block somebody or hit somebody outside of the pack.
Another penalty going to Buffalo, that time Pepper Sticks. The other co-captain's gonna sit. Badger with it, it's 142.86 as she loops around, gets to her line of defense, approaches the blockers, gets stood up there temporarily, still hung up there, doing some good works. Number 199, Blackroot Bruiser. Still stood up there. Now Honey Badger finally gets through. We'll see if she calls it or tries to loop around again.
Go is fighting to get through. She's got the cap in her hand. She's going to put it on.
She took it off when she was in that penalty box, so they lose track of her. So we saw some of the strategy there.
Yep.
And there's the call of the jam. Went almost 90 seconds plus there.
Honey Badger shut it down before Go was able to come around, but both jammers were moving incredibly fast.
151.87. And they, as we take a look at that score, you mentioned how far this Buffalo program has come. It was 4 years in between meetings, and last time it didn't go so well for Buffalo, but you can see the skill that has been brought into this team.
Absolutely. The last time that these two teams met was 2012, I believe, and the score was something around 350, 360 to 24, 32, something like that. Montreal really an incredible team and has been an incredible team for a long time.
They called off the lead jam there by Falcon Punch and gave it to Buffalo, and we'll have a stop already. Is getting some points. There was number 622, Libralian for Buffalo.
She's one of their co-captains and a very successful jammer, but Montreal has really been able to shut her down tonight. She is a very agile, strong jammer that can usually get through fairly easily. Now you can see Headhuntress right here. She's setting up to try and give her jammer some help, but Montreal recognizes that. She goes up to try and shut down Meliwana, which has been
a tough test for sure.
Go
trying
difficult.
to catch up. We have the lead jam, but Go trying to pass her. Does so. Go getting in front. Meliwana trying to box out. We have them coming around the corner. Meliwana gets the advantage. Go trying to catch up as they approach the pack. There goes one, and down goes a player. We have a penalty called.
Meliwana called it off. All that action between the jammers, and Meliwana still got her points and shut Go down. So jammers can engage each other, they can hit each other, they can block each other at any point. Where blockers have to stay within what's called the pack. It's between 10 feet. But jammers, they can go at it wherever they want. It's always fun to watch that.
153.87 officially on the board as we get ready to go again. It's Crazy Squirrel out there against Miracle Whips. Crazy Squirrel this time out in front. Miracle Whips comes back to catch up. She's through a couple of blockers and she's got the lead. Trying to catch up.
Go is still caught in the pack. No, you're right. Crazy Squirrel. Sorry.
No problem. As now away comes Miracle Whip. She hits the wall, trying to bust through. She's skating through, just edged out, and now we'll have it called. And that's the end of the jam. 156 goes on the board for Montreal.
Tuesday Hula pushed her right out of bounds, but she called it off. Got her points and prevented Crazy Squirrel from getting it.
The advantage of being that lead jam, you can call it off as soon as you want, as soon as it looks like the opposing team might get some points.
Or if you're tired, you don't want to do it anymore.
That's also a good reason.
But generally,
that's usually my lead reason.
Maybe that could be my lead reason too. So when you score points, though, you got to pass the hips of the opposing blocker. But like for example, if you pass their hips and then they get in front of you again, and you pass their hips again, you don't get another point.
Okay.
You got to come all the way out of the pack and come around again.
So the maximum amount of points you can get is 5 in one round.
Exactly, and that's called a grand slam if you pass the opposing jammer. You also get box points. So if someone's sitting in the box, you pass one of their players, then you get their box point.
So it really depends on situations when you try to get that big run, if you have the power advantage with players in the box.
Right.
Or on a regular jam, maybe where there's no advantage, if you can get 2 or 3 points and shut the other team out, that's a good jam for you.
It is, definitely. The more times that you can prevent them from scoring, the better.
So this should be a good matchup. Libralian back out there against Honey Badger.
It's a good crowd here tonight. I don't know if it's a sellout, but it sure looks like a sellout. Riverworks has 3 bars, like 2 downstairs and 1 upstairs, plus a restaurant.
And it's full all around.
It is full. And in the summertime, they open up the doors, so the river breeze comes in. It's a lot of fun.
All right, better get that assignment. You hear that, Phil? Just letting you know. Away comes Buffalo. They got the lead jam. The crowd's behind it. Libralian looking to cut into the lead. She whips around. Honey Badger trying to catch up. She's through the pack. Libralian trying to skate around. They still got Honey Badger hung up. Some good blocking going on.
She got hit by every single blocker through that pack.
One last one delivered there by Headhuntress. There they come. Libralian cuts in. She's by again. 50 seconds into this jam, Libralian has it 160.95. Honey Badger making her way through now, but Libralian just split a couple, and she's through. And that's it. A minute 2 of wrestling through there for Libralian.
It was an amazing jam for her. She really needed that one. Get her skates under her and get moving around again.
164.99, a great run there for Libralian. So looking to build on that will be Crazy Squirrel. She has the tough matchup against number 66 Falcon Punch Out there is Brooks Hithouse blocking. We've seen a couple of big hits from her. Going through, Crazy Scroll on the inside, has to go back inbounds and reestablish. She's still a little bit in front of Falcon Punch. They're tied up, we have a call. Ooh. Down goes Falcon Punch. What a hit. Reestablishing.
Well, they're calling that hit penalty. Brooks is going back to the box at this point. But the Furies are still holding on to Falcon Punch.
She just got through, though.
Crazy Squirrel is being held up by Montreal. She has not made it through yet. Falcon Punch has lead jam.
You see Falcon Punch coming around the track. She's going to catch up to the pack. You'll get to see everyone pile up in there. There's a great view. Trying to get through there. You see the green star of Falcon Punch on her helmet. Spin move through, and she squirts free. Trying to get by the block there of number 82, Tuesday Hula. Still dealing with that, and she's finally through.
Crazy Squirrel's trying to pass the
They
cover
just did it.
To Murphy, who's now going to try and get her way through. Ooh, she almost gets through, but gets knocked out. She's going to go to the penalty box.
Not happily, I might add.
Not happily.
Did not like that call.
I'm not sure that it was not liking the call. She wasn't sure if she's going as the pivot or the jammer. And there's a little bit of a confusion when you're the pivot and you've taken it.
The helmet, or the cap helmet, I should say.
So she's putting it on her helmet over her pivot straight, so she is now the jammer.
Which means Buffalo cannot score right now while Falcon Punch has it. Another big block out there by Brooks Hithouse.
This is something that the Furies really don't need at this point, but they can't really help it.
Only 20 seconds left in this, and that's when it will be called as Falcon Punch returns to her bench. Well-deserved rush that time. So Buffalo had that big jam there by Libralian. Couldn't answer back as Falcon Punch brings her team to 179 now.
So they have Meliwana out, waiting to jam. Murphy's in the box. Now Murphy used to be a jammer for the Lake Effect Furies.
So they'll start short, correct?
Yep. And also, I believe it looks like Brooks Hithouse hit her 7th penalty. So I think that she's going to be escorted off with a little bit under 10 minutes left in the game. And that's going to be a big loss for the Furies.
Yeah, I'm thinking New Skids on the block is okay with that. We saw her deliver a lot of hits out there.
She did. And sometimes she's just in the way and somebody slams into her. It's not like she actually is hitting them, but it is, you know.
So I want nothing to do with that collision.
Yeah.
She is strong on 4 wheels, that's for sure.
She sure is.
Headhuntress is out there right now as she tucks it over with her team.
Yep.
You see Alcatraz.
Sabrina Schreier is going to sit in the box for Brooks because you can't go with not going with that. You just substitute in. So when Brooks' penalty is up, Sabrina will go in for her.
Get a good view. The wave may get its way through the Riverworks. Well, restaurants even getting involved. It's going to come into your screen in a second as you get a good look of the venue here. Meliwana is going to have a power start here as Buffalo does not have a jammer to start this one off. She tries getting through the 3-pack there of Buffalo, sending her down. Are the blockers. Out there is number 622, Libralian. She's not a jammer right now. She has to get the cap from her teammate who's just going to reestablish herself.
And quite possibly they're going to pass that star to Brawl. But in the meantime, she's going to do her best to block Meliwana.
As you see Meliwana making her way through the pack. She's your lead jammer. Only 30 seconds into this jam as she comes back around. Buffalo still looking to get to full strength and are about to do so in a second.
Ooh, that was a big hit by Huntress. And again, she's another one that was like,
she got
just
sent off
there.
for it.
She did. You can't block going opposite derby direction. And I think she just a little bit went the wrong way.
Official roller derby. You are going counterclockwise on this floor, as that's the rule and been established. And you see Meliwana still skating through as the lead jammer.
Very easily
1 minute
at this
left
point.
to go.
Libralian is sitting in the box now as the jammer of record. She has the cap in her hand.
So right now, no stop to this jam by Montreal as they can just rack up the points as Buffalo doesn't have one out there. Right now it's a 100-point lead, but this jam continues to go on. 40 seconds left in it. You get a good look. And she's through again. We had a call away from the play again.
Yep, Huntress, she just she tried to get in front of the Montreal blockers who wanted to hold her back in order to hold the pack back there and make it even easier for Meliwana to get through. Not
Finally.
that she seems to have any trouble.
Brawl is through
But
as she comes out of the box.
She cut the track.
Buffalo is looking for a penalty there. They won't get it, and calling it finally is Meliwana. 2:03 showing on the board. We'll see if any late ones get tacked on.
I don't think Brawl ever put the helmet cover on, the star on to score. So
She had the pivot on the way through, right?
Right. So she had the pivot on, but she was holding onto the star.
So we have another jam approaching 7:35 left to go in this second round. There's your score in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. The home opener for the Lake Effect Furies here in roller derby at Buffalo Riverworks. Through quickly. Our Montreal trying to catch up as go, but she's been stood up pretty well. Now she's through, but here comes Miracle Whips. Through the pack she goes, squirming through. Still trying to get by, and she's through the pack, and we got a call and a stop.
She calls it off just as Go was about to score. Miracle Whip slipped right up the outside line on that start so easily. The Lake Effect Furies really have to shut that door.
So we mentioned this is the home opener for the Furies. What is the upcoming schedule looking like in case someone wants to come down and take in some roller derby?
So the Queen City Roller Girls has 3 home teams and a B team called the Sub-Zero Sirens. Falcon Punch is almost through, but she is trying to get the...
Oh, she got stood up hard there. Number 60, Pepper Sticks came through and delivered a jolt.
But she's going in the box for that. So next Sunday, we're going to have a mashup between the Lake Effect Furies and the Sub-Zero Sirens. They're split in half and half. So one team will be half Furies and Sirens, the other half Furies and Sirens, and they're going to play each other in what's going to be a really great, exciting game.
And when is that?
That is Sunday, April 2nd at 4 p.m.
Right.
We have a junior team too, and they're going to be playing at 2 p.m. So you can come a little bit early and watch them. They're really exciting to watch. So Libralian is on the line. I can't see who is. Honey Badger is out there for Montreal.
It's 2:07.99 as there's 5.5 minutes left to go.
Libralian
Buffalo got
is
through. Yeah, that time going down quickly for Montreal was Surgical Strike, and that gave Buffalo lead jam.
Murphy tried to knock her right there on the apex, but she just leaped right over her.
There comes Libralian approaching 2 blockers and got through. Now you see some collisions behind the play. Honey Badger bounces off a flurry, still can't get by. We have a penalty called away from the play. Libralian coming back to the pack. Gets by one. Gets by another. Still going.
Coach Key is
keep
telling
it
her
going.
Keep going.
Keep going. Yep.
He's hoping that the Fury blockers are going to be able to stop and slow down.
So far,
Honey
they've
Badger.
done a great job. They still have her caught behind, and a few more points coming Buffalo's way. Libralian has it. They're going to keep it going. Honey Badger still tied up behind. Finally gets through. And down goes Libralian. She took a brutal hit.
Chick Demolish there at the front tries to give Honey Badger one last little kiss before she gets out, but doesn't quite make it. After that, on the 14th, we have our home team teams back in play, Alley Cats and the Devil Dollies. The Lake Effect Furies will be back in sanctioned play action for their ranking points on April 22nd. They're going to play Pittsburgh. That's a double header, so you can come watch 2 games for the price of 1. The Sub-Zero Sirens will play Pittsburgh's B team afterwards.
So that's the 22nd of April for the rankings. That has Buffalo at 26 right now. They're taking on Montreal at 17. Buffalo with the lead jam. Still going strong as Marijuana gets spun out of play. Nice hip through there as coming through his mange, who held up Crazy Squirrel for only a second though. Crazy Squirrel finally fights through. Down goes the jammer for Montreal, so Crazy Squirrel keeping it going. They have to reestablish his Marijuana, so Crazy Squirrel trying to get more points. Slips by a couple. still trying to get through the final two. She stood up there, though. She's trying to fight through a couple of new kids on the block. Did a good job of blocking her out so Meliwana could try to catch up.
She looks pretty tired. They were holding her for quite a long time.
They still haven't called the jam. Now they do. They made Meliwana come all the way around the track before calling it to see if they can get a couple more points.
Yep.
2:15, 1:22 with under 3 minutes left to go in this round.
Now let me take a minute here to explain that because the teams are so far apart in rankings, the determination of what number of ranking points each team gets out of this game is a complicated math equation that I couldn't even begin to think about. So
good, I hate word problems.
I know. So the Lake Effect Furies essentially could lose this game but win in the rankings. They could raise ranking points because they're playing a team that's ranked so much higher than them. So it's all about the spread.
So
and this is probably a really good spread in favor of the Furies.
So you think word gets around the league, hey, Buffalo's got a quality team.
Yes.
That's playing right now. They're toe-to-toe with a team that went to the championships and have shown great improvement since the last time these teams met. And we'll have a timeout taken by Buffalo, approaching 2 minutes left to go. So we have 2:15, 1:22. Montreal picked up some points there by Miracle Whips.
These teams play until the very last second. You might think too, like,
a few
well,
more
Montreal's
points can make a
win.
difference in the ranking, right?
Exactly, exactly. You might think, well, 219, 122, Furies aren't going to win, but they are going to play to the bitter end. Again, also the at the end of the game, you could have less than 30 seconds left on the game clock and call another jam. And then the game goes until the end of the jam, which could be 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
So you can squeeze in an extra, like, minute 50, minute 55.
So if you're down by maybe 4 or 5, it's a good way to try to extend the team.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Libralian, who you said had a very tough first half, has really come through with about 2 or 3 good jams in this second half.
She really has.
She's put up some good points for the Flurries.
She has, definitely. She seems to have found her skates a little, or found her wheels a little bit more this period.
Again, a good view. Would you want to go into that scrum?
Nope.
As you see Falcon Punch trying to get through. Falcon Punch trying to get by the blockers, but she's put aside, and Buffalo has the lead jam. Libralian's through. So make her way around the court.
She's still being held up by Midnight Maniac, who gives her a little nudge before she races through. But Libralian is at the back of the pack, through for scoring now.
And she got through.
So the question's going to be, is Coach Gee making her go long? And he is.
Yeah, not going to call it
but
after
Falcon
the
Punch
points.
just flips on by on the outside, gets her points.
Libralian gets stood up there on a nice hit, but then sends her opposition to the ground. And we have a stoppage, reestablishing as Libralian, as you see Falcon Punch making her way through the pack. Buffalo is the lead jam with Libralian. They can call it, but she sneaks through the inside, gets some points. We'll see if she calls it. She does. And another timeout called by Buffalo with 1 minute left to go. So 2:27, 1:30. Again, some 8 points put up by Libralian that time, compared to I believe it was 4 for Montreal.
Yep.
As Falcon Punch was able to get by once that time.
Right. So it looks like they're going to put out Crazy Squirrel, who's also been very successful tonight.
So the Jammers, just to recap, as you're joining this Flurries team tonight, you've seen Crazy Squirrel go, Libralian and Incinerator, but then the Jammers for Buffalo. But they've been set up by the blockers of Bricks Hit House, Lowhits Griffin, and Black Rock Bruiser. They're the ones that their names don't get mentioned too often, but they're the ones doing kind of the grunt work in there. Murphy in there, Midnight Maniac, and Chickadee Malish. Sabrina Schreier, Head Huntress, Pepper Sticks, and Tuesday Hula, all leading the way for those 4 jammers.
Yep, it's a team
and
sport.
Also trying to prevent the jammer of the other team. So a lot of contact happening.
Right, definitely. You know, there are only 2 full contact sports for women. rugby and roller derby, team sports, I should say.
Okay.
Like kickboxing is full contact, obviously.
Yes, that.
Boxing.
A lot of contact there.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely, this is full body contact. There are hits everywhere. There are no limitations except for illegal maneuvers.
Right.
But if you keep it clean, you're allowed to do the hitting.
Yeah.
So 227, 130, Buffalo getting it back under 100. They'll try to do it again, but some nice moves there. And weaving her way through traffic easily was Miracle Whips. Crazy Scroll trying to get through, and she's going to do so with a little shove there. Gets sent out of bounds, and now she's through. But it's Miracle Whip on the other end of the pack that you see skipping through the inside line, the alley, and she's through, and she's going to call the jam. Another timeout being taken.
So Coach Gee at this point is just trying to slow the game down a little bit. He wants to get as much time on the clock, keep his players on the track and his jammers scoring as much as possible. So he used an official review. You get timeouts and an official review, but you can use that as a timeout.
Okay.
So he walked out, said to the head ref, I'm just using this as a timeout to stop the clock.
Okay.
So 20 seconds left on the game clock. If the Furies get lead jam,
they
can go the whole 2 minutes.
There you go. So that would allow them to try to put some more points as they go up against number 17 Montreal, visiting here to Buffalo Riverworks, as you get a look at the great crowd on hand and the point of view from your jammers for this round. Again, it's Miliwana against Libralian. Libralian skated a lot in this second half effectively for the Flurry, so we'll see if she can do it one more time. She has 20 seconds to try to establish lead jam to extend this game a little bit, as it's 2:31, 1:30.
If Miliwana gets lead jam and decides to call it off at the end of the period clock, then the game's over with at that point. But if Libralian can get lead jam, looks like right now that Pepper Sticks is. Miliwana is through.
So
that
time it was like Brawley came through with a power move and kind of cleared the path for Miliwana. She followed in the footsteps and snuck through the hole.
Right.
Established lead jam. She's knocked out of bounds, calls the jam with 10 seconds left, and that's pretty much going to run the clock here.
Well, unless Montreal called a timeout, but I don't think they're going to.
So I would say a more than successful home opener for the Flurries. They lose 233-130, but that's probably gonna help them in the rankings, and it exposed a lot of people to this great sport here at Riverworks. There is people on the top level, the restaurant, all around this rink location as you get a look at the Flurries team huddle. The head coach again is guillotined with Papa Wow. And there's a look at your final score.
233 to 130. We'll find out in a month or so what it'll affect the Lake Effect Furies rankings. But it was an amazing experience for the team to be able to play somebody so much higher ranked than they are. A team that went to the WFTA championships. So we were so glad to be able to have them here.
Yep,
they're actually going to play them again in Montreal in June.
Oh.
So we will see what happens.
That'll be another big dance, a big benchmark for the Flurries. Again, keep an eye online for upcoming games. We hope you had as much fun viewing this as we did bringing it to you. Again, you can watch it on LCTV.net and order yourself a copy if you'd like. For Vile Lovett, I'm Frank L. Good night from Buffalo Riverworks. The Flurries are here in Buffalo.
Have a good night.
Think we didn't know, didn't even see the tide change. But it's a small, small world, girl, getting even smaller every day. I bet you think we didn't know, didn't even see the tides change. But it's a small, small world, girl, getting even smaller every day. You can fake that smile for a hollow out where the kids all run once those bridges burn. The trash washes up to shore.